Hi, my name is Anna, and I'd like to show you my web app, which is called My Sound Archive. This web app is mainly for, I would say, music nerds who use Spotify, have a lot of tracks in their library, and they want to organize this library a bit more than it is possible on Spotify. At first, I built this app only for myself, but then I decided to modify it and allow other people to use it as well. And of course, as a result, this project got bigger. I had to provide user authentication, Spotify authorization for other users. I had to create a website, structure it properly, and then decide on what features and routes to include in it. I will talk a bit more about technical stuff later in this video, but I just quickly want to mention that I built this website using, at first using Flask, but then I switched to Django. And I'm using, of course, Spotify API and Open Authorization 2.0 standard to be able to retrieve data from Spotify on behalf of the users. And all this data is saved in a Postgres database. Before I show you this web app, which is already deployed at mysoundarchive.com, as you can see here, I want to talk a bit about the reason why I built this in the first place. And by the way, I will include some timestamps of this video in the description, so you can skip some parts if you want to. And now let's head over to Spotify. So typically I listen to music one genre at a time. So let's say I want to listen to some rock music, for example. So I'll go to artists and I'll start scrolling down looking for something that I would enjoy at this moment. And this is a list of all artists that I follow on Spotify from all different genres. So in my case, that would be rock, metal, jazz, techno, dubstep, drum and bass, reggae, and so on. And Spotify doesn't provide any option to divide this list into different genres. So this is a mess. And so I'm scrolling down, and this is mentally exhausting because I need to pick up only rock bands from this list. And by the time I reach, let's say, letter C, I've already had enough of scrolling. So I'll probably just pick either something that I've seen or something that I listened to for last couple of days because I just have it in my memory. And another time I will start scrolling, for example, from the bottom of the list, or I will pick a random position. But still, I think I will miss a lot of rock bands that I have in my library. And the result is that I forgot actually a lot of rock artists that I like. And I haven't heard some of them for a very long time. And for me, it's like they just vanished from my collection of music. And maybe I will rediscover them again by chance, but I don't know. And of course, I can't remember all of them because there's just too much music to remember. Apart from following artists on Spotify, there's of course an option to create playlists. And yeah, I use this feature as well, but it won't help me with organizing artists by genres because I won't create playlists that contain all my music, of course, because that would take ages to do. So yeah, that won't help me. And there's also an additional problem that I keep a lot of tracks in my playlist, but I don't follow many artists of these tracks because I simply forgot to do it, which means that my list of artists isn't complete. And I just want to have all my music in a system in which I won't miss any song, any artist. And this is where my app comes in handy. So let's see how it works. As I mentioned before, this app is available at mysoundarchive.com. Let's go now to page how it works, which explains what exactly happens under the hood. So my sound archive retrieves from user Spotify account all liked songs, plus all songs from playlists which were created by the user. And then it combines all of these songs, puts them into folders with artists, subgenres, and genres. An important thing to note is that my sound archive won't modify any data on Spotify. It can only retrieve data. I will log into my account now to show you my archive, but you can also see the contents of this archive here by clicking see an example. So yeah, let's log in, and this is the archive. Looks pretty basic. Here we have a list of genres, and these genres are the ones available in my library. So in other words, there are no empty folders here with genres that I don't listen to. Then I can pick a genre, pick a subgenre, and pick an artist. And here I can see the list of tracks that I have in my archive. And here I can click on play or album, and the Spotify desktop app will open with the chosen track. By the way, a side note, Skrillex doesn't play dubstep, but here you can see the list of real dubstep artists. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And I haven't spoken about two features yet. The first one being the a loose tracks folder. So the idea behind that is that there are probably a lot of artists for which user doesn't have so many songs, like for example only one song or two songs. So these artists are not that important, and because of that these artists aren't listed in artists folder, but tracks of these artists are put into loose tracks folder. Thanks to that, the artist list is not that long, even though it's already much smaller than on Spotify, because here we have separate lists for artists from different genres and subgenres. These tracks are most often present in the list of saved songs on Spotify or playlists. So let's check. In my case, I have more than 4,000 liked songs. And of course, some of these songs are in playlists. Some of these songs are included in lists of songs for artists that I follow. But still, there is probably a lot of tracks that I just miss because I don't scroll this list ever because it's just too long. So I don't even want to think how many tracks I've just missed for a couple of years and haven't listened to because of that fact. Second feature that I want to cover is listing featured tracks of artists. So let's check, for example, my favorite machine drum. Here you can see a list of featured tracks and remixes. And in case of these songs, Machine Drum isn't the main author of these tracks. He's the second one, or could be even the third one. And for example, I don't know artist named T. Stewart, but apparently he produced a song with Machine Drum, and I like this song, and I want this song to be listed here under Machine Drum name. And in case of Spotify, if I pick Machine Drum and pick liked songs of Machine Drum, I won't find all of these songs there. But here I have them listed, and yeah, and I think that's a cool feature. And now let's head over to some settings. The first thing that we can change here is the minimum number of songs to be grouped into artist folder. And this number determines which songs will end up in the loose tracks folder. I have this number now set to 3, but to put it simply, if I were to change it to 1, that would mean that the loose tracks folder would be empty, because even if I had, for example, one song of an artist saved in my library, this song would be put into a folder with artist's name. And I don't want to do that because I think that in this case, my archive would get very messy. But if someone wants to change that, it is possible here. But let's change it, for example, to 10 songs. Save changes, and then I'll go to archive and pick dubstep again and pick folder loose tracks. So now this list of artists got shorter because a lot of artists' songs have made their way to this folder with loose tracks. So as you can see here, I can count, for example, here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 songs. So before I had only at maximum 3 songs here of one particular artist, and now I have at maximum 10. And that's it. And let's check the second feature, which is excluding some playlists from our archive. This is a list of all playlists included in library currently. And as a default, this is a list of all playlists that user has created. But I can exclude anything that I want. And now I can see this playlist and the list of excluded playlists from library. And one important thing is that if, for example, one of the songs is included in all-time favorite playlist and in bossa nova playlist, then if I exclude the first playlist, but this song is still in bossa nova playlist, the song will still appear in our library. Yeah, and that's it. And this is actually everything about this app. And now I will just show you how to actually create your own archive, how to sign up and then log into Spotify, authorize this application, and create your own archive. So we're on the homepage now. Let's sign up. First, okay. Okay, so we have now our My Sound Archive account created. We can log in to Spotify here, or we can check settings, but no, we are no settings available yet because we haven't created archive yet. We can only delete our account. And let's see what's here. Nothing here yet. Again, please log into Spotify to retrieve your music collection. So we log in. Yeah. And now we are redirected to Spotify, and Spotify asks us if we allow Spotify to connect to this app, and we agree. You have successfully logged into Spotify. Retrieving all data from your Spotify account may take up to 10 minutes. Yeah. And now we can create our archive by clicking here. This is just a very simple account that I set up just to test this app. So we don't have much music here, but we have some metal, we have one folder, we have some loose tracks, we have pop, we have here another folder, another loose tracks folder. Yeah, and this is how it looks like. That took very little time, but that's because this library didn't have much songs in it. But for example, in my case, it can take up to, I don't know, maybe 6 minutes, something like this, to retrieve all data. And I will be, of course, working on this process to make it faster, but still there are some limitations to this, because these are the limitations from Spotify, and I can't do anything about it. Speaking of which, I want to note that This app is currently in a development mode according to Spotify rules, which means that now it can serve up to 25 users, and I need to add them first to my account on Spotify for developers website. That means that if you want to create an archive here, you need to send me an email first so that I could grant you permission. I'm planning to submit an extension request to Spotify though, but first I need to make sure that it meets all the requirements that are defined in Spotify for developers policy. And if I get this extended quota, then I will be able to serve more users, and also I will get higher rate limit when it comes to using Spotify API. So yeah, that's it really about this website for now. And let's talk about some technical stuff now. Of course, I won't be talking about code in detail, but just want to show basic things like, for example, how this app is structured. As I said before, originally I built this in Python using Flask, and I completed almost all of its current features there. And then I have rewritten it in Django. I will provide links to repositories of both versions in the description of this video. And when it comes to the structure of this application, I have 4 apps in my Django project. App pages consists of basic roots like home and how it works pages, but it also handles user authentication. Then Spotify OAuth app's task is to get access token and refresh token for users and save them to database so that they can be used later on to interact with Spotify API. The next one, Spotify library, deals with retrieving users' data from Spotify and then saving it to the database. And finally, Sound Archive app is responsible for displaying contents of users' archive. Let's go back to Spotify OAuth app for a moment. I'm using Open Authorization 2.0 standard to interact with Spotify API on behalf of the users. And I don't know if there are any libraries which handle this authorization. I think that there aren't any, but writing all the code to implement it isn't difficult since everything is described in detail in the Spotify API documentation that you can see here. And using Spotify API involves adding an app to its website, then using client ID and client secret to get access token, which is valid for an hour, and a refresh token. And once we have tokens, we can start retrieving data, which is handled by the next app, Spotify library. In this app, I have 3 main files. The first one, get Spotify data. This file contains all functions, including API requests, which are used to get a full set of playlist info, like tracks and tracks from playlists. And this data is then parsed using functions from the second file, parse Spotify data. And when all data is ready, it is saved to database by functions from the third file, save Spotify data. So let's see quickly how this database looks like. There are 6 tables which contain users' data, and 2 tables which don't, and these are tables with artists and tracks. And each time a new user creates his archive, all artists and tracks from their library, which weren't present in here before, are added to these 2 tables. And user music is stored in 3 tables: user playlists, user tracks, and user artists. And the global table artist contains genres and subgenres of artists assigned by the app. And when user's archive is created, all these genres and subgenres are copied to the user's artist table. And soon I'm going to add an option in the website settings that allow users to set a custom genre and subgenre for any artist. Speaking of genres, of course, I have an algorithm which assigns genres to artists. And for now, I'm retrieving corresponding genres for each artist from Spotify. But quite often genres are missing and artists end up in a folder named others. So I'm planning to improve this algorithm in the near future. And the last part of the project is stored in Sound Archive app and deals with displaying users' archives. And it contains various functions which retrieve data from database, and it involves joining different tables. So to make the queries comprehensible, most of them contain subqueries. And I've deployed this website using service named Render. I've chosen a method which involves connecting to my GitHub repository. And in order to continue my work on this web app, I've created separate Django settings for development and production, as you can see here. And yeah, so that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will still be working on this web app, and maybe I'll cover some updates in the near future. Thanks.